Hi everyone and welcome. My name's Manveer. I am Mama Bear Stitching here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is Flosstube number 3. We're gonna talk about basically a February recap as well as a little bit of March. Today is March the 4th. I'm a little bit late getting this video out, but I had a very busy month. So we'll talk about all the things I got up to, and I had quite a social February. I had 3 stitching meetups in person as well as my regular Chatelaine Zoom that I will try my best to attend. But yeah, so we'll just get into it. I think I'm a little bit frazzled. Honestly, doing these monthly makes me feel like I forget how to do them, and it takes me a while to get started. This is like the 4th or 5th time I tried to record the intro because I just kept like stumbling over my words or forgetting what I wanted to say. So maybe a little bit more frazzled this video, but we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna wing it. So Flosstube. Flosstube is about cross stitch fiber arts usually, but I'm gonna talk about my other crafting things I got up to. I worked on my crochet project, and I also essentially learned a new craft, jewelry making, accessory making. We'll talk about that later though. Let's just go into mentions, I think. So a couple of people who mentioned me and I want to thank and mention them back. I apparently forgot to mention Karen the Stitching Owl, who had mentioned me on her video. I should have mentioned her last video at the beginning of February, but I did not. I apologize, but yes, thank you very much, Karen, for mentioning me. Next people I would like to mention are Allison and Stephanie at Cross Stitch the Globe, who mentioned me on their Flosstube. So thank you very much for doing that. And then Arica at Fibers and Floss Canada, who mentioned me on her Flosstube and Instagram. Thank you so much, Arica. And then finally, Victoria at Victoria's Embroidery Art, who mentioned me. And Victoria is one of the ladies that comes to the library to do stitching, and I have more to say about her and the last time we met up, but definitely go check out her videos. They're not in English, but you can turn the the automatic generated subtitles on, and you can follow along pretty well. She has a lot of really lovely things to show. She does a lot of kit stitching, and I think she stitches fast. she tends to whip these things out. So check out her videos, and she made an extra, and we're going to talk about that later as well. But for now, thank you everyone that tagged me and mentioned me. Go check out all these Flosstubers if you don't already. Things I did in February. I actually ended up working on all 6 of my WIPs. Kind of towards the end of February, I was feeling, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but it was like in the back of my mind, it was like playing on the back of my mind that, oh, I've been working pretty well on 3 of the WIPs, but the other 3 haven't really been touched. And I just didn't want to pick these up a few months later when they do become my focus and just have no progress on them at all. So I kind of decided near the end of the month that I wanted to at least pick them up and touch them once, just to do something. So I did end up working on all of my WIPs at least once. Like I said, I did do my crochet project as well. And then I illegally started something because I was not planning on starting anything, but I had very poor impulse control. But to be fair, it's going to be a quick project. I'm already at least a third percent done. So this shouldn't take me too long, and it's bringing me a lot of joy right now, so I think it's okay. But it is still illegal, so I will be calling it my illegal new start. Also, like I mentioned, so I went to 3 stitching meetups this month, and also went thrifting. First time thrifting for cross stitch specifically. So I went with the intention of trying to find cross stitch things, which I did, and I will share that. I also have a little bit of haul, which I started the year off by saying I was going to have a no buy. I was not going to buy anything unless it was necessary for projects that I was working on. Or I kind of made an exception if I went in person to a needlework store, that would be my kind of, you know, kind of pass essentially on the no buy rule. But things happened. We'll talk about it. You can hear my excuses if you're interested in the last part of the video where we talk about the haul and the thrifting. Okay, let's go into WIPs. So I'll show the WIPs first and the new start last. And I'm also going to show the WIPs from what I worked on the least to what I worked on the most through the month. A month and a little bit, because I am going to include the first couple of days of March into my counts. So once again, when I mention the numbers of how many times I've worked on it, it is not days. I did not spend full days on these projects, but just how many times within the month and a bit that I picked them up and worked on them. So we'll start with, also I did try to take, I tried to remember to take pictures before I started just to help show the progress. I think I remember to do that for almost everything, except for the Bella and the Chatelaine, the Bella Filipina Sal. So I should have pictures for almost everything. But yeah, so the first project I'm going to show, and the one that I worked on the least throughout the month, was Soul Tropica by Bella Filipina. This was my birthday start last year, and because I'm doing the Bella Filipina Sal, I'm definitely not picking this one up as much. Obviously it's the same designer, and it's both like mermaid slash siren pictures, patterns, so it's kind of the same, working on the same thing. And so this is probably not going to see much progress at all until the Bella Filipina Sal is done. Also, like I said, I've been really busy. I feel like I'm rushing around. I did not iron anything, and a lot of things are still in their Q-snap, so apologies, but that's just how we're doing it today. We're getting by the best we can. So great. This is Soul Tropica, and I think I only put in 150 to 160 stitches, and that's literally, I only worked on it once. I picked it up once, and it was just to focus on this leaf. It's going to be another big one like that. And yeah, I just worked one color. I think I put in like 3, maybe 4 strands, and I kind of called it at that. So I'll bring it closer. I really do love the colors in this. It was also really nice to pick this up because a lot of my projects are on dark fabric, or they're on small count. So picking this up, it's being stitched on 32 count glacier. Oh, this is gonna be a struggle today. Okay, it's stitched on 32 count Glacier Blue Light by Garibaldi's Needleworks, 32 count linen. So this was actually easy. It was so easy. It was like a nice light fabric. The stitches felt like big, and yeah, the colors were really nice and cheery and bright after working on a lot of these like dark and moody projects. Again, mostly talking about the Bella Filipina Sal. The colors are moody. I do love it, but I feel like lately that's all I've been working on is on dark fabrics, high counts, and moody subject matter. So I was tempted to continue working on this, but again, it's just very similar. Working on a bigger piece by the same designer. And if you notice here, I am also on her skin, and the skin is being 1/1, and we'll talk about 1/1 skin later. But yeah, this just a little bit here, just making some progress. So at least when I picked this up, maybe halfway through the year, it had some progress on it, and it's not at what it was during my WIP parade. Okay, so the next project I'm going to show is Autumn is as Joyful by Lilas Studio. I've been meaning to pick this piece up. I've actually had this urge to stitch on it. It's just kind of like been popping up in the back of my mind. So I did want to give this a few days, which I unfortunately didn't end up doing. I only ended up working on this once. But I know I've been seeing other people pick it up. Andrew, the runner stitcher, is one. He's made it his temperature stitching. As well, I think I recently saw someone finish this, or they made a lot of progress on my Instagram. I saw them, and it kind of made me want to do it as well. And then just a few days ago, Leela from Lilas Studio showed the final Quaker in the series, the Winter Quaker. And the Winter Quaker is gorgeous. I really want to start it, have it, but I've not done any of the other Quakers. This is my first one. So I did use that day to kind of use my motivation essentially to finally stitch on this. So Autumn is as Joyful, I worked on it once, but I did 333 stitches, and that moved this project from 12.84% to 14.8%. And it was all in this Quaker. And all I did was the inside border, these like little squares, and then started on the motif. And then, yeah, I did want to work on this more, but I think I kind of like the idea of maybe by the time I get to the end of the month, taking the last like 3-4 days to pull out these projects and at least touch them. The stitching went really fast on this, but I have a feeling it was because I was just doing the inner border. So I didn't have to look at the chart, except to kind of know when to put these little squares in. What else? Oh yeah, this is being stitched on 40 count Vanilla Latte by Stitch Me on the linen. This is linen. And it's just 1 thread over 2 fabric threads. Oh, the Soul Tropica is 2 over 2. There's going to be a lot of this. I guess I'm more tired than I thought. I thought I'd rested well enough for this, but apparently not. I also feel like I have so much to talk about and I'm trying to remember it all, and I think that's also... I'm sorry guys, this is gonna be... We're all on the struggle bus today, okay? This is gonna be... This is gonna be something. We're just gonna go with it though. Just look at the pretty projects. Maybe just mute me. No, don't do that. Okay, so yeah, I only worked on Soul once. I only worked on Autumn is as Joyful once. And then the next project, Gojo Saturo from Juststitchcrafts. I wanted something easy to do, and I knew I just had fill-in for this one. So no thinking, I could just easy stitch. I did forget, however, it is still on black, so it wasn't too bad, but yeah, it's on black. Well, almost black. This is being stitched on 32 count opal linen by, it's called Cosmo by Stitch Me. And so yeah, I just did fill in. So it's, the white has just been filled in some more. I honestly, when I was looking at the pattern, I forgot that this is actually bigger than I think it is. It's going to be a little bit longer, and it is pretty wide. But it's a lot of block stitching, so once you do the outlines, it's just fill in. I think that's just how I'm going to keep this project, is whenever I need kind of like mental breaks, essentially, where I can just fill in, I'll just, that's probably when this is going to get pulled out. And then obviously I'll have to maybe take like a day or two to just like do the lines to extend it, but it is all block stitching primarily. Yeah, yeah, I do still like the project a lot. I mean, okay, so one of the drawbacks to taking all my WIPs out and working on them is I wanted to keep working on everything. And I've now hit this point where I'm kind of indecisive. Like, do I keep working on what I want, or do I work on this other thing that I want to do? So it kind of backfired, but we'll push on. Next project, Chatelaine. So this is the amazing Marie Antoinette Rose Garden Kaleidoscope by Chatelaine Designs. I worked on this 5 times in the month, which is less than what I wanted. This is one of the projects that I want to make a focus, and at this point pretty consistently. It's kind of like a secondary focus. Bella Filipina Sal is definitely taking a focus, but I think it's partly because I know that the Sal is coming to an end in April, so after that then this can become the focus. I still did a decent amount of work. This is being stitched on 32 count black linen by Zweigart. And which way is up? This way. I will do this way. So I worked on this panel. Before I had only done like the very edge of it. So it's been completely filled in. I've even done the black of the gate and then the gold scroll work at the end. So this has been completely stitched. No back stitching yet, and I haven't added the specialty stitch that goes in, which is just kind of like a diamond eyelet, I think. This panel in particular is mostly just stitch heavy and back stitch heavy. It doesn't have too many specialty stitches. And then a lot of those other spaces are just going to be beads. So on this side, it is completely done. And on the other side, I've started it. So there's only 2 shades of color in here. There's this dark aqua, and then there's the lighter aqua that basically fills in the rest. And then the only other thing you have to do is the black for the gate and like the gold scroll work. So this is close to being fully stitched. As well, I took this out of the scroll rods and I stuck it in the Q-snap. And my decision was like being on the scroll rods and doing the stitching, I was finding it difficult. Or at least I felt like I wasn't able to stitch as much in it because you have to have your posture different. And then I mean, most of my stitching is done with the Q-snap, like right here in front of my face, and being able to glance across and watch Flosstube, which I watched a lot of Flosstube in February. So I know on the Chatelaine Facebook group, people have asked this question before, like, does anyone stitch in their Q-snaps? Does it like crush any of the stitches? Does it warp anything? And a lot of the Q-snaps, a lot of the people that stitch using their Q-snap say they have no issue. So while I'm still fairly early on in this project, I thought I would try it. When the Q-snap went over, it did obviously go over some of the eyelets here, but I usually put like another cloth down between the fabric and the clamp, and then when I take the clamp off, I'd never slide it. It's always a straight kind of like I pry it off. And obviously when I first pried it off, the stitches were a little bit squished, but they have mostly bounced back. And I know like once I've let it sit, they should just like recover essentially. I'm okay with it because I feel like this is just the way it's going to work for me, is to have it in the Q-snap so I can have it close. It also helps because of the dark fabric. Like, it's when I'm working on the frame, it's a little too far away, whereas I need it close sometimes because of how dark the fabric is. And then when you're doing the back stitching, it's, I don't know, sometimes you're doing like really fine work, and then I just would rather have it close. And I don't really like stitching in hand anymore. I'm so used to the frame. I don't know if I could go back to stitching in hand unless I had to, or at least I definitely do not want to go back to stitching in hand on a project that I've done, you know, a fair amount stitching in a Q-snap. I feel like even if other people wouldn't notice, I would notice. Yeah, so again, I hope I work more on my Chatelaine this month. I keep saying that, and again, I keep putting it off. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing where I feel like I need to do my other projects before I can reward myself by working on the Chatelaine, but today's Wednesday, so today is the Chatelaine Zoom. I think I should be able to make it as long as nothing comes up. So this will get worked on today. At the very least, it'll get worked on today. All right, so the next project. This was, it kind of became a focus for seasonal reasons, which I'm not a seasonal stitcher, but because I was working on a lot of pink and I had finished the Bella Filipina Sal part that I was working on before February 14th, I thought it was like appropriate and like a good reason to bring this out and work on it. Kind of like for Valentine's Day, I'd be stitching a lot of pink shades. So the next project, Traditional Reminiscence by Lanarte, and I worked on this 10 times during February. I got into a roll. So I'll show you the part first and then I'll unroll it. Maybe I won't. I don't know what I'm doing today. So I guess I'll block myself for this. So it's basically all that, like all that skirt. I did a lot of that skirt, and then I was kind of just using the one medium pink shade, and then after I'd kind of finished that, I used there was a blend, so it was that medium color and a darker color, and then I started doing the blend, and it was, yeah, it was mostly all just focused in this area. So I've now hit all the edges. I've hit the very side of the project, and I had already hit the bottom before when I was working on this side, but yeah, this whole bottom part is basically full coverage. Like her entire skirt area is full coverage. So not much to say. I did, again, I had this on a scroll frame just so I could get access to like the entire bottom skirt, and I could just fill in with one color all the way across. Again, I took it off the scroll frame and I put it in a Q-snap because it's easier for me to stitch in the Q-snap. So originally, my goal for this was to try and finish it in May or before May for Mother's Day, because I want to give it as a gift to my mom. Maybe I can still do that. I'm not sure. Again, I feel like I am focusing. I want to get the Bella Filipina Sal done, because at least once it's done, I know there's no more coming out, and then I can focus on the other ones. I might be able to make this goal still. I'm not sure, but I think it is definitely going to depend on how much this project gets picked up this month. Because in April, end of April, beginning of May, I'm probably not going to have much stitching. There's going to be a family wedding, and we're going to have family from out of town come and stay with us for a while. So there's probably not going to be much stitching for those 2 weeks. And so we'll see. Potentially I could. I have hit a really good groove in this. Now that I've got a lot of the like framework of the skirt done, it's easy to work off of it. That being said, once a lot of this like block stitching is done, then there's going to be a lot more kind of confetti where the flowers come in and the border comes in. And then, I mean, after that, there's all the back stitching. I haven't done any of the back stitching, and there's quite a bit in this. Okay, so that brings us to my last WIP, which is the Blackwater Siren Sal by Bella Filipina Designs. I worked on this 21 times throughout February and at the beginning of March. So it was finishing up part 5, I believe. Or no, I think I'd already finished part 5. So this was almost all part 6. And part 6, very nice. I really liked it. It's beautiful. But the one thing that I noticed right away was, oh, that's a lot of skin, because it is the top half of the siren. And I feel like the other sirens had a lot more of their hair covering part of the body, or I think like the green siren had a lot of the necklace come down and cover the skin. This one, I feel like it was all skin, like it was just all skin. And I'm doing the skin 1/1 half cross, so I knew it was going to take a while. But it does look really good. So also, I did not bring my special little needle minder to censor it. I'm gonna have to show it uncensored, so if you don't want to see, or you have kids or someone around that you don't want them to see, you're gonna have to skip this part and maybe come back to it later, or just skip it altogether, it doesn't matter. But so this is part 6, Blackwater Siren Sal. Part 6, Blackwater Siren Sal, the top half of the mermaid completed. So like I said, it's all just skin in this one. You have some of her hair, but it's like definitely cut off a lot here. So I'm guessing the next part is going to be a lot more hair. I think this one's going to be another, like, they're all long haired sirens. So the rest of the hair, and then the bottom of her tail. But yeah, if you've ever done 1/1 skin, you know that when you start, it looks really bad. The colors, obviously, because you're doing it 1/1, they get really saturated. And so the contrast between the colors, like the light and the dark, are very stark. And I had that moment with this, especially in her face. Like, I think you can still really see it in her face, the contrast, because there's nothing else to kind of distract your eye. I haven't backstitched her eyebrow, and haven't outlined her, which the outline does help as well. But when I was doing this, I did have that moment where I'm like, am I gonna have to change the color? Because it looked really bad until I had it all filled in. So I'll just bring it close. Like, it looks good from back here, but when I bring it closer, and then you kind of get that, like, let's see. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but when I had the lightest shade not done, it looked so dark. Like, her like skin looked really magenta, but I'm pretty happy with it now. Yeah, not much I can say. I've been saying it all along. I really love this one. Every time I pull it out, I do enjoy it. This time in particular was a bit of a struggle. I feel like I am getting burnt out of the skin, and there's still one more to go. When you're doing the 1/1 skin on a project, it's usually like you do it once, finish the figure, and you're done. But on this one, I've done it 3 times now, and I have one more to go. So that's probably the part I hate least, but it is self-inflicted because it's not charted 1/1, the skin. That was my personal choice, so I will have to live with it. But I am enjoying it. I do like the way it looks, so we'll keep pushing on. The next part for the Bella Filipina Sal comes out in a few days, so I will probably only work on some other project for a little bit before the next part comes out. depending on how much of that hair and tail there are, it could be a lot of stitching or it could be not as much stitching. It'll definitely be easier than the top half. The top half always takes me almost right to the next part drop, whereas the bottom parts are usually not as bad. But yeah, so that's all the WIPs. And now we're going to talk about my illegal new start. So yesterday on Tuesday, I was at work and saw Tusk and Cardinal had come out with this pattern, which is called Iron Deficient Maiden. And it like really tickled my funny bone. I got a good laugh out of it, and it just kind of like made me smile throughout the day. And then while I was at work, because I saw this at work, while I was at work just kind of thinking about the pattern, I remembered that I had this Pirate and Robin floss that I had received as a gift from someone, and I had been looking at this floss for a few days thinking like I really wanted to find a good monochromatic piece to stitch this in, because I really like the colors of the floss, and I was thinking of something small just to kind of like use it. I really wanted to use it. The colors were really appealing to me in the moment. And so the pattern is not, or the design itself is not monochromatic, but I thought about what if I just stitched it monochromatic. I think it could work because it's not a very big pattern and the colors still kind of work with it. So I bought the pattern while I was still at work. As soon as I came home, I went to my tablet and I downloaded it and put it into Pattern Keeper. And then I pulled my Pirate and Robin floss, and then I just went to go find some fabric. I knew I had some leftover scraps of a like neutral-ish fabric, and that's just how I was gonna stitch it. And I literally just started it right away yesterday, and I've worked on it pretty much the rest of the day on Tuesday. I worked on it, and I even this morning picked it up and put a little bit more, a few more stitches in. So this is Iron Deficient Maiden. It is by Tusk and Cardinal. I'm using Horror by Pirate and Robin floss, and I'm stitching this on a leftover piece of Pearl by Pole Stitch Designs. This was the fabric that I used for Mecca, Saudi Arabia from last year. So this is the remnant from that piece. It's a 32 count even weave, and I love it so much. So it's working up so nicely. I'm not thinking too hard about trying to get the colors to go certain places. I'm just kind of letting it flow as it will. The only other thing that I'm changing are the flowers. So the flowers in the pattern are fully filled in. It's like a dark red, border, and then the inside is filled in with like a medium red, and then the 4 stitches you see in the middle are supposed to be like an accent color. I think it's like black and the gold or bronze color that's charted. I thought about just filling it in, but I thought I would lose a lot of the detail, like it would just be a blob. And so then I figured I would use negative space to my advantage, and then I toyed with the idea of filling it in and just leaving that center 4 stitches as the negative space, but I've kind of settled on this, which I really like. I hope it's focusing okay. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. And I've already done 404 stitches since yesterday. I'm pretty much a third of the way done. There's 2 more of these flowers that need to get done here before the next word. It's kind of split up into 3 sections. So the next word, Deficient, has 2 swords next to it, and then the final word, Maiden, has like kind of like a little flower border at the bottom, as well as like a shield. And then I'll probably like I am going to lose some detail. There's a bit of detail on the sword that I think I'm going to lose. But the shield also has kind of like a cross on it, which I'm going to use the negative space to show that as well. So yeah, this just, it's making me happy. I really liked it. It kind of really tickled, like I said, it tickled my funny bone. And I am enjoying just this monochromatic, two floss threads over 2 fabric threads, and getting really nice coverage. But yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to frame that after or do another pillow finish, sorry. We'll see. I do think though that I'll probably finish this soon. This isn't going to get carried over, most likely, especially with the way I'm working on it. This is the Pirate Robin floss. Once again, horror. I don't know if I'm, again, frazzled. But just like a really nice black, red variegation. It's almost slightly bluish, like a dark navy, but it really does kind of come off as black as well. But yeah, so that's all the WIPs, and that was my illegal new start. Okay, so we're going to talk about some just like community and social stuff, social stitching event stuff. Canada Swaps is almost finished. The deadline to mail out everything is March 10th. So I haven't mailed it out yet, but I am probably going to do that tomorrow. I was just getting some last few things in order, and I still just need to package this up. So this is the small that I made for my Canada Swaps. And then on top of that, I had a lot of leftover beads, the big ones, and you're allowed to, but not required to, send like a little gift item if you want. So what I did was I took the leftover beads and I just made these zipper pulls. So I made one with like the big stone here. It's like a little rose quartz, and then like some of the bicones that I had left, and then just some beads. And then the other one I made was this heart was originally something I was going to use as the center instead of the rose quartz, but it wasn't really fitting the piece, so I just had all these hearts left over. So same thing, it's the heart, leftover bicones, and then this one actually has a few, I went with like a silver color accents for this one, and these silvery ice colored beads are from the pillow that I did in December. I have a lot of beads right now, so I basically just used, bead wise, I used what I had left over from various projects, but they came out pretty cute. And so I used all of the items. I'm only sending 2 to my recipient for the Canada Swaps, but the other ones that I made, I took them to Stitching at the Library, and I also took it to another stitching event that I went to, and I just kind of gave them out to the ladies that were there. So yeah, I just need to fill up my card, package everything up, and then send this off. Next, we'll talk about Stitchers at the Library. So the last meeting at Stitchers at the Library, we did our big like de-stash. I brought in a few patterns that I was no longer gonna stitch. Everyone else did the same. We had some fabric. We had just a few other like little knickknacks. There were some magazines there that I remember seeing, and there were some kits. I brought in one of like a dimensions kit I had that I no longer wanted to stitch, and another lady that was there brought in some of her kits. There was actually a lot there. And I think the next meeting that we're gonna have in March, we're also gonna bring that stuff back. I basically took a lot of the leftovers that no one picked, and then I'm just going to keep bringing it back and until someone decides they want to pick it up. But yeah, I think we're just gonna keep doing that. It's kind of nice to pass along your stuff to someone you know is going to want to stitch it. But yeah, so what else to say about that? Oh, also, so at that stitching at the library in February, it was February 15th, I believe, just after Valentine's Day, Victoria from Victoria's Embroidery Art, she brought in this antique sampler that she had found at a thrift store. And so she brought it, we got to see it in person, which was so amazing. And what made this sampler even better was that it was actually a Canadian sampler, which obviously you find a lot of like American stuff, and you'll find a lot of European stuff. There's not that many Canadian samplers from what I know. So the fact that she found one, she just found it in the thrift store, and it was like $8 or something like that. She bought it because yeah, she just bought it. It was what is it? The name on the sampler is Teresa Collins, and the date is May 1843, and it was stitched, the stitcher was from Newfoundland, Canada. So that's also mind-boggling that it got all the way from Newfoundland to here. We're like on opposite ends of the coast. And I think when you turn the frame over on the back, you can see that it was framed in Burnaby. So again, not sure if that was the original frame or if it got reframed somewhere down the line, but it was really interesting to see. And then she had actually taken the time to re-chart the entire sampler. So if you go to her video, she did do a special video on not only that sampler, but another sampler she found. She talks about the samplers and shows them off, and then I think she does have a link, or it's either a link on that video or she gives out her email address, where if you are interested in stitching the sampler, you can get the PDF that she made for free. You just have to message her for it, and it's really nice. I'll put some pictures up. I did take some pictures at the library, so I'll put them up if I have them. If not, just go watch her video. It's definitely worth seeing, and it was really interesting. I mean, like, I feel like that's the that's like the thrift store like gold mine, when you find a antique sampler just there. Okay, so Stitches at the Library was my first in-person stitching meetup. The next stitching meetup I had was Knots and Hops Valley. And so this is put on, and it's kind of like come together and craft. So it's at the Barley Merchant, and it was here in Langley, which is really close to where I am. There was a lot of knitting. I brought my crochet. There was a lady who was doing some like beading jewelry making. I don't know if she was making jewelry or if she was just beading like a little art piece. But yeah, there was quite a few people there. It was fun. It was really nice to see what everyone was working on, and the food was good. Food was good, had to drink. Yeah, it was an enjoyable time. Arica Fibers and Floss was there, as well as another lady that I usually see at the library, Rupi. She's on Instagram as West Coast Stitcher. And yeah, so caught up with those two, kind of like met and mingled with some more people, and it was a really nice evening. It was just like 2 hours, and when you're eating and drinking, you're just kind of like admiring everyone's work and talking about what you're working on. I think I might have been the only one doing crochet there, but there were like other people had crocheted, so they were interested. And I mean, I actually haven't shown it off yet, so I'll just show it off now. This is what I was working on. Which way? This way. I have it folded up. It's obviously longer. But this is the blanket I'm crocheting right now. It is Celtic cable throw by Bonnie Bay Crochet. So I'm actually watching a YouTube video as I'm stitching this. She has, I think the video is like over an hour and a half long, but she goes through all the stitches and like, yeah, I've just been like watching the video, then I'll kind of go off and do my thing. And then once I'm ready to start the next part, I will come back to the video. I'm not a very experienced crocheter. I kind of only learned maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago. And I started off doing baby blankets, and they were simple, like 1-row repeat blankets. So you learn your stitch and then you just go. And then I kind of tried, I've done a scarf, I did a cowl, but a lot of them were smaller and more simpler projects. So this is probably like my first big project with like multiple stitches. But the video's so good. It's so easy to explain, and we've done like a multitude of like different stitches. And like, it's such a nice like textural, and like even just visually, it's just such a nice blanket. So you start off at the bottom here by doing these ridges. You do a ridge, you do a cable and another ridge, and then you go into this basket weave, and then again you do your like ridge, cable, ridge, and then you have now this like diamond pattern. And then here we have a ridge and then like a knurl stitch, and then the other ridge. And then up here is the start of a popcorn stitch, which, I mean, this is the first time I'm doing it. Some of my popcorns are definitely like popping out a little bit more than the others. Some of the other ones have kind of like fallen in. There's supposed to be a couple more rows of this. I think like 3 or 4 more rows. But basically this pattern and the popcorn stitch goes, and then there's like a really thick cable pattern, and then after that it's just everything repeats again. So I mean, this is the width of it. It's going to be a pretty big blanket. And the yarn I'm using, because this uses quite a few balls of yarn, there's these really big tassels that go at the end, which I haven't 100% decided if I'm going to do it, but I have a feeling I might. It looked really good with the tassels. But so I'm just using some Lion brand Pound of Love yarn that I got from Michaels, and the color is Quartz. But yeah, that's my crochet project. I do like it. It's really nice to do the different stitches. So it's not really boring. It is, however, more complicated than like the baby blankets, because those I could kind of just go. I didn't have to think too much about like, what am I doing? Okay, what do I have to do next? This one definitely you have to kind of stop and then look and see what I'm doing, and then what do I have to do next? I have been having counting issues with this as well, and I think it's because I'm switching between stitches, and so yeah, sometimes I'm off by one, or I've added one and I have to rip and then redo the row again to try and get my stitches back. But it's not too bad. It's a good learning experience, so I've been enjoying it. So yeah, I did really enjoy my Knots and Hops get together, and I think the next one they're doing is in April, so there won't be one for March, and I think I most likely will go to that, but I'll have to wait closer to the date before I can say for sure if I'm gonna go. Okay, and then the last stitching get together that I was at was a kind of like a stitching luncheon that Arica, Fibers and Floss Canada hosted. So this is the second one she's done. I've been to both of them, and it's just kind of like an invitation to local stitchers. just kind of get together for a couple hours. We sit, we stitch, and there's like a little bit of a luncheon. I brought some chocolates. Because I work near the airport, and the MacArthur Glen outlet has a Lindt chocolate store. I usually just go grab a bag and I'll bring the Lindt chocolate. But yeah, people will bring in some little snacks as well, and it's just really nice to sit together. We'll admire everyone's stitching, we stitch ourselves, talk about, just kind of chit chat. At this get together, the thread gremlins came down, all three of them, so it was really nice to meet them. And then we also had Kelley from Kelley's Quilts and Cruises, so I got to meet her, which was really lovely. And yeah, so a couple of the ladies that we go to the library, they were there. I feel like I'm forgetting someone, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sorry. But yeah, so it was really nice. I honestly, I had a really good month getting together. So in that sense, I have like a very full heart. I, you know, got to chit chat quite a bit about my stitching. I got to admire everyone's stitching. Elizabeth from the Thread Gremlins brought her plaid pair, so I got to see that up close, which was amazing. And yeah, it's just so nice talking stitching with people. And then it's always nice to meet and talk to other floss tubers, because you've seen their projects on the video, but then getting to like up close hold it and look at it, it's another thing. So I had a really good time. And so for this coming month, currently there's just the stitching at the library. We've scheduled it for March 22nd. We've scheduled it earlier this time. So it's gonna be from 10:30 to 1:30. It's gonna be in room 418. So yeah, just pay attention to the room number. I try to keep it the same, but there are sometimes scheduling conflicts with other groups who maybe have booked the room. It's usually always on the 4th floor, but the room sometimes just like flip-flops between which one I get. But it is the 418 this time. So I've already gotten really good feedback on the time that I selected this time around. Usually I was picking kind of like, you know, afternoon, thinking it would be a good time for everyone to get together. But a lot of people have said that the earlier time is probably going to work better. So I guess when I meet everyone on the 22nd, if the consensus is that early time works better, I think we'll go forward with the earlier time. It actually works better for me as well. I'm kind of like an early person. I like to get up, get things going, and then just kind of like relax towards the evening. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be, I hope we're gonna have a pretty good turnout. I've already gotten quite a few confirmations of people who are coming. Okay, so the haul. I was not good. I said I was gonna have a no buy. Okay, but I have discovered a secret. So if you have rare out of print things or patterns that are hard to come by, you just need to let it out into the universe that you're not going to buy anything, and then the universe will turn around and shower you with all these temptations. And so that is what happened. I started off the year saying that I was going to not buy anything. I was just going to stitch from my stash. I had a lot. And then I was presented with a lot of things that I had been wanting or needing, or if I had passed it up, it would have been a shame. So this section, the haul, and I'll show the thrifting as well. How should I start? How should I start? We'll show the naughty stuff first. So the naughty stuff being the stuff that I bought when I shouldn't have bought things. Okay, and so the first thing was actually on one of the D-stash groups that I'm a part of, one of the Canadian specific D-stash groups, there was a lady who was basically liquidating her store. I don't know if it was like an online store or an in-person store. I think it might have been online only, but she was liquidating her entire inventory essentially. Yes, so I was notified by someone on my Instagram that, oh, this was happening. And I think I did say to them at the time, like, oh, I'm not really going to be buying anything. I'm trying not to buy. And she mentioned that, like, oh, I thought you would be interested because you stitch a lot of like fancy ladies, and they're selling their like crynecks and beads. And then I went and took a look, and at first I wasn't going to buy anything because I have a few things kitted up. I figured I'll just buy the stuff afterwards. And then I kind of remembered that there's 2 Bella Filipina patterns that I really want to do, but they're also very Krynic heavy and bead heavy. And the ones I'm talking about are Cleopatra and Orduja. So by the time I got around to messaging this lady, I think she had sold a lot of her Krynics, but she still had quite a few beads. So I basically went to the list of supplies for Orduja and Cleopatra, and I just I consolidated it, but then I just sent it. And I said, this is what I'm looking for. Can you just like send me what you have? So yeah, I haven't checked to see what's here and what's missing, but I have a feeling this is, I mean, it's a decent amount of the beads. There's obviously not that many of the Krynics. I think there's only 5 spools, but obviously the price I paid for them was way less than if I was buying the spools from a shop, because obviously she was liquidating. So I kind of couldn't pass up that opportunity, or at least that's what I'm telling myself. So there's that. I did talk to the ladies at the library, and they said that it was worth it and that it was a good thing. Like, that was smart. So that's the excuse for that purchase. Also, I forgot to show this, but when we were doing the de-stash at the library, I controlled myself and I picked up this pattern only. I only picked up one thing. This is Queen Anne's Lace by Lavender and Lace, and this is a pattern I've been wanting to do, but no immediate plans. But I've always really liked this. I think I just really like the colors. I like the pose she's in, and I do have the Mirabilia Rose of Sharon, which is like the same kind of idea. She's got like a yellow and blue gown, and then it's like in a garden. Well, kind of, it's like she's under an arch smelling the roses. So I think these might actually look really nice together, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, that was one of the things I got from the de-stash. That was the only thing actually I got from the de-stash. All right, okay, so the other purchase, I honestly have no excuse. I don't know why I looked up this pattern randomly. You know how sometimes with your unicorns or like your any pattern or kit that you have like an eye on, occasionally you just like search for it. I shouldn't be doing this because I said I'm not gonna buy anything, but I feel like I still kind of keep an eye out for things like that. So I just searched for this kit and I wasn't expecting anything to come up. The first thing that came up was like an Etsy selling for like 320 something US dollars. And then I saw that there was a shop saying that they had it in stock, and that seemed odd because as far as I know, this pattern is supposed to be I don't know if it's out of print or if it's just hard to find. It's a kit. I thought this is hard to find because the only time I ever see anyone selling it, they're reselling it, and they're reselling it for like $200-300. So I kind of just checked it out, this shop. And then they had it listed, but they also had a notification to say that it was out of stock, but that it was also in stock. And so out of curiosity, I just kind of sent them an email to be like, oh, is this in stock or is it out of stock? Because I'm not understanding what it says on the front page. And they said that it was out of stock, but they had a warehouse in Europe that they could get, they could basically tell them and they would ship it from there. And they did have the item in stock. So I did a little bit of research. I found out this channel has a YouTube channel, or sorry, this shop has a YouTube channel, and everything seemed legitimate, even though I was still a little skeptical. I went ahead and I bought it because it was only $75 US, as opposed to like 325 to 250 US that I had been seeing on like eBay and Etsy and other places. So I did kind of justify it as, if it's not real, then I'm kind of doing a public service, and then I can let people know that it's not real. But then if I get it, then that's also a public service, because I can let y'all know that you know, this is a good place to shop. And it actually arrived yesterday. So what I'm talking about is this Dimensions Gold Collection kit. It's the Soul of the Rose by Waterhouse. And so yeah, I got it for $75 US. And the shipping was included. Okay, so this is another part that I'm confused at. Again, I was under the impression, again, I didn't do too much research, but I was under the impression that this was like out of print, or it was like really hard to find. But when I look at the back, they kind of have like a little stamp on the corner here, like a date stamp. I don't know if you're gonna be able to really see it because it's like so faint. But yeah, it says 2024 on there. So I'm wondering if it's just like this kit is still in production in Europe. Or I mean, I guess like you can find it in Europe, but it's just hard to get on this side in North America. But I was really happy with that. So I'm going to list the shop that I bought it from. I think it's called Do Stitch. I meant to look it up, I forgot. But yeah, I will link the shop. They had a lot of kits. And so I don't know what the justification for this is. I saved a lot of money because I probably eventually would have like bought it secondhand from someone. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. If it's just I was misinformed about this, or if maybe they're reprinting it, or maybe in Europe this kind of stuff is just more readily available. But yeah, I also meant to check to see what other kind of kits they had, because if they had this one, maybe they had other ones, but I'm not going to go onto that site. I'm not going to buy anything. And then you can stay tuned to the next video to see if I actually do that. But I'm really happy with this. I know there's like a couple of places that have this pattern, but the detail's not the same. And yeah, I'm just really happy about this one. I have no plans of when I'm going to stitch it, but it's now in my collection. Okay, and so we'll end off with showing the thrift store stuff. So I feel like the thrift store stuff is exempt. First of all, because it's very cheap, but also a few of the things that I found at the thrift store, I actually took it to the D-stash because they were really nice, but I knew I wasn't going to stitch them. I knew someone else at the library would probably want to stitch them, and they did take them. So I guess I was helping everyone else, but I also did keep a few things for me. So one of the things I've got, my mom really liked this. She actually was with me when I went to the thrift store, and she was kind of helping me look through the books and the other papers and booklet area. We went to 3 or 4 different thrift stores. We only really found something in one, but I really like the stuff that we did find. So one of the things was this, this like Delft sampler. My mom really likes this, to the point where she said maybe she would stitch it, and she hasn't stitched since I was like a teenager. But then she also said that if she doesn't stitch it, she wants me to stitch it for her. So this is another pattern getting added to the my mom wants me to stitch it, so I guess I'm gonna have to stitch it pile. She's about to start a WIP list for just her stuff. But yeah, this one, so yeah, not only does it have this pattern, but this like little needle book that they made, it has instructions on how to make that. I really like this as well. I actually wouldn't mind stitching it. And oh, I'll show this one. This one's gonna be scary. I'm gonna give you a jump scare warning because it kind of freaks me out. Again, my mom liked it, but only for one of the patterns. So these are the it's called Something Special, designs by Lee Dublin, Monday's Child. So it's a bunch of these like little babies, and they all have the is it like a nursery rhyme? The nursery rhyme of Monday's child is fair of face, Tuesday's child is full of grace, etc., etc. Oh yeah. So all the babies are there, which I don't like the babies. They creep me out. But I did like this, and my mom liked that. So again, this is another, my mom likes it, so therefore I will stitch it for my mom eventually. That's another WIP on the list, or that's another project on the list. Not a WIP yet, but that should be pretty easy. Yeah. And then I got, it's called Cross Stitch for Special Occasions, Over 30 Easy to Make Projects by Maria Kelley. This one has a lot of smalls. It's a lot of smalls, and it's a lot of like occasions stuff. So stuff for baby announcements. There's like wedding samplers. There is like birthday things, christenings. Let's see what else. I think there was like a borders section as well. They had some borders in here. Engagements. Yeah. But a lot of the like motifs and ideas are really small. So let's see, it's another good one to show. Like, oh, with this one, animal art sampler. This one had a lot of good things in it. And the condition was really good. Both of the books that I got, the condition's really good on the books. There's no markings. Honestly, even the little like booklet things that I got, there's no markings. The condition's pretty good. This was by far my favorite find though. It's called Cross Stitch, The Special Moments of Your Life by Marie Barber. So it looks like this. And I don't know if you could say this has a theme. This honestly just has a very eclectic collection of patterns. So I'll show you. I was flipping through this book and I was liking what I was seeing. There was a lot of like really nice things. One of the first things I saw was this rose. That rose pattern. Although like the two kids with the teddy bear and the dog were good as well. There was some like fruits, and then there were like alphabet. There was a bird. Let me see if I can find the bird. Oh, here's the bird one. This bird one was also like really, really nice. So a lot of the stuff was really, really nice. I was like already 80% gonna buy this book. I mean, it's at the thrift store. It's not that much. These were $3 maybe. It was like $3 to $5 at most. But what really sold me, what really took this book to like, this is a really nice book, to, oh my God, I have to have it, was this one right here. These two actually, although the first one really drew me in and the second one was like, so it's these fancy rabbits. You've got this one, which is like a very like a Venetian style. And then you have this one, which is like an English lord and lady, and then like the fruits border as well. I didn't know that I liked fancy animals until I saw this. And then I wanted it so bad. But yeah, like I said, this book, a lot of really good things. There's a lot of teddy bears as well. Teddy bears, and then there's also a really nice, here, this is the teddy bears. And then there's also a really nice Santa sampler. Where is it? Here we go. This Santa. Yeah, like honestly, even just like one or two of these patterns would have been enough to get the book. It has so many good ones. I've leafed through it a couple of times, and every time I do, I kind of stop and notice another pattern that I really like. So for my first kind of cross-stitch thrifting adventure, it was a really good, I found some really good stuff. Okay, I think we're gonna end this a little bit frazzled, a little bit all over the place. Hopefully I said everything I needed to or wanted to. Plans for this coming month, focus on the Bella. I have a few days until it comes out though, so I'll probably, I don't know, just pick up whatever I feel like. Like I said, the picking up and working on all my WIPs, while it was good to push things ahead, has now kind of roadblocked me in the sense that I really want to continue working on everything, and then it's kind of freezing me and not allowing me to just pick something up and work on it because I can't decide which one I'm going to choose. Today will be easy though, because I am probably going to work on the Iron Deficient Maiden first, and then later on I'll probably switch to the Chatelaine and then try and make it for the Chatelaine Zoom. But yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's everything. I'm going to also include a link to the zipper pull tutorial that I used. It was by, it's called How to Make Zipper Pull Dangles by Serenity Creations. I looked at a couple tutorials, all a little bit different. This was the one that I found the most, for me, like I just found this tutorial to be like the best, and like for what the supplies that I needed to buy in order to make them, it had a pretty good like concise list of supplies that were pretty easy to like source and get. Yeah, I think I've mentioned everything. I think I've mentioned everyone. If I missed something, sorry. I think I need coffee. I had tea in the morning, but I don't think the tea was enough. I think I need coffee. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching, and leave a comment on my projects. Leave a comment and weigh in on my no-buy. Am I still doing a no-buy? I do think saying I'm doing a no-buy is helping with more frivolous purchases. And it is only making me kind of buy things that I guess are either a deal too good to pass up, or something where if I don't get it now, it's not going to be there. But yeah, weigh in. Am I doing a no buy still? Am I? Or should I just start saying I'm doing a low buy? Or should I just say that I'm being more, what's the word? More conscious of my purchases? Okay, I think that's everything. I waffled a lot. I'm probably going to cut most of that out, maybe, or maybe you will see the madness. I think I'm losing my mind slowly. So thank you everyone for watching, and leave a comment if you have any questions. Yeah, I will see you all in the next video at the end of this month. Bye.